This is KCAL News, Los Angeles.
Well, in the wake of the fires, there's now a wave of lawsuits. 4 of them were filed just this week against SoCal Edison. The lawsuits claim Edison didn't shut off power to its electrical equipment despite warnings of high winds and fire danger. For its side, the company says it's reviewing circuits and transmission lines in the Eaton Canyon area and that the cause of the fire is under investigation. Joining me now are attorney Rich Bridgford and Jeremy Gersey, who lost one of his properties in the Eaton fire. I want to thank you both for joining us. And Jeremy, I want to say you actually lost rental properties that are really your livelihood in this fire.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've put all my life savings and energy into building a nice community here. So.
And Rich, you're one of the first to file the lawsuits against.
Yes, we conducted an extensive investigation and we're the first to file. The lawsuit is principally about holding this corporate actor accountable. We've represented tens of thousands of victims in the past against this particular utility in the Woolsey, the Thomas, the Creek, as well as the coastal fire. And unfortunately, the message is not being received. And we're hopeful that this will be something other than business as usual. The community is suffering. I'm a lifelong resident of Southern California. I have countless friends who have lost their homes in these fires. And I would say that if we were to compare this to make it analogous to war, that this would be as if tactical nuclear weapons were deployed. This is the worst property damage that we've seen. Everything else pales in comparison to this. Our hope is that at the conclusion of this, we accomplish 2 things in this lawsuit. The first and the foremost in importance is the complete compensation of our clients. And we've been contacted by and are in the process of signing up hundreds of people on the Eaton fire. The second is to prevent this apocalypse from ever occurring again. And there's going to have to be some significant changes made in order for that to be accomplished. The sad thing about this particular disaster is that it isn't a question of the utility knowing what to do. The utility knows what to do. The utility has underground the transmission wires as well as distribution wires in the past. They're aware of covered conductor. They're aware of vegetation management. And most importantly, they're aware of the need to de-energize early. There was a warning that was sent out over 2 days before this particular fire, a high wind warning. There were actually wind speeds within a couple of hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours before, over 60 miles per hour. And nonetheless, SCE did not de-energize at that time on this particular set of transmission lines, and it had chosen to de-energize on other lines. So I don't know how they would explain that the decision was not made to de-energize here.
And Jeremy, from your understanding, in the property, the electric was still, gas and electric were both still on.
They were still on, yes, until once my tenants were evacuated, I can't say, but as to my knowledge, after the fire had started, it was still on. Tenants were still in communication with me when the fires had already broken out. And I would constantly check in with them on their well-being, and so everything was there. And when I arrived at the property the day it burned down, it was still on fire. And so the gas lines were still going, and I actually reached out to Southern California Gas. They said it's between them and the fire department to turn that off. I couldn't call in to turn it off.
But at this point, SCE is saying that they're investigating. So explain the lawsuit before it's been proven that they're at fault.
Well, the reality is that in every lawsuit, we have obtained recovery on behalf of our clients, which is 100%. There has never been an actual proof in court on causation because those cases have settled. And proof doesn't occur until you have a final judgment. So The reality is that this fire occurred directly beneath their lines in Eaton Canyon. And we've done quite a bit of investigation in that regard, and we're confident that SCU was the cause of the fire. I'll tell you, a bigger question in my mind is whether a for-profit utility that has been granted a public monopoly can continue to viably operate. Each quarter, the management of this utility, and they're just human beings, is faced with a fatal choice between the public safety, undergrounding the wires, and other remediation measures on the one hand, and answering to their shareholders. Recently, they announced that they'd made $1.6 billion in profit in 2023, almost double the 900 plus they made in the prior year, and a $25 plus dividend on both their A and B shares. So I don't think it's a money problem. I think it's a problem where the money's going.
But is the lawsuit really about the money, or is it about holding them accountable so that this doesn't keep happening?
In our civil justice system, unfortunately, we cannot bring back the people that were lost. We cannot bring back the houses that exactly as they were. All we can do is two things, and we have two objectives in this case. One is to provide the fullest compensation possible to our clients for the emotional distress and for the actual economic damages they have suffered. And two is to prevent this from ever occurring again. I am hopeful that the safety measures that will be forced upon the bad actor in this case will result in the prevention of future fires.
But it could take years before anyone sees any of this money, correct?
Depending upon how the case goes, we've represented all the homeowners in the coastal fire. We had that in mediation. We worked well with SCE to bring that to mediation within less than 2 years. Other cases, it was 2 to 3 years, and to some extent the PG&E and the SCE cases from 2017 and 18 got hijacked by COVID. But I think we did a very good job of getting the money out to to all of the victims with the cooperation of the utilities in those cases.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck as you begin this rebuilding process.
Appreciate that.
Thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
All right. CBS News has reached out to SoCal Edison about the lawsuit, and this is the response they gave us. SoCal Edison understands that lawsuits related to the Eaton fire have been filed. SoCal Edison will review them. The cause of the fire continues to be under investigation.